мы не обошли вниманием ситуацию вокруг Украины. Полагаем, что многие из положений, выдвинутого Китаем мирного плана, созвучны российским подходам и могут быть взяты за основу для мирного урегулирования, когда к нему будут готовы на Западе и в Киеве. Однако такой подход, пока такой готовности с их стороны мы не наблюдаем. Но более того, вот только что мне сообщили, в то время, когда мы с председателем обсуждали вопрос возможности реализации китайского плана мирного урегулирования, а председатель КНР уделил большое внимание своим мирным инициативам в ходе нашей вчерашней беседы с глазу на глаз, вот сегодня стало известно, что Великобритания устами заместителя главы Министерства обороны этой страны объявила не только о поставках танков на Украину, но и снарядов с объединенным ураном. Похоже, что Запад действительно решил воевать с Россией до последнего украинца уже не на словах, а на деле. Но хотел бы в этой связи отметить, что если все это будет происходить, то соответствующим образом Россия вынуждена будет реагировать, имея в виду, что коллективный Запад начинает применять уже оружие с ядерным компонентом.
This is my first video update coming to you from Athens, Greece on this rainy Tuesday afternoon. Let's talk about some news. And we have the breaking news coming out of the UK that the UK Ministry of Defence, answering written Q&As, question and answers from reporters, the UK Ministry of Defence will be supplying depleted uranium to these Challenger tanks that they're going to be donating to Ukraine. So this is a huge escalation from the part of the collective West and from the UK. Why is it always the UK government that pushes escalation? Even more than the US, it seems that it's the UK government that always pushes for more and more escalation and always makes these risky moves. These are moves that are going to come back and hurt the UK later on, but there we have it. The UK Ministry of Defence is going to be providing depleted uranium, and of course, depleted uranium, it will significantly escalate things in Ukraine, but it's going to damage the land in the east of Ukraine for many decades. It's going to cause all kinds of sickness and suffering for the people of the east of Ukraine as well. And of course, it's a much more lethal type of weapon. But the main purpose in providing depleted uranium, in my opinion, the main reason that the UK is doing this is because they're losing. They're panicking and they're losing. And this is the UK's way of saying, you know what? If we can't have the east of Ukraine, well then, no one's going to have the east of Ukraine. That's essentially what the UK is saying. That's exactly what they're saying. So they're going to poison the land, and they're going to poison the people. And yeah, this is a disgraceful, shocking, disgusting move from the UK government. It's quite an incredible escalation coming out of the UK Ministry of Defence, but it shows that they are indeed losing, and their answer to losing is to poison the area. That's their answer. So that's the big breaking news. Russia, of course, is going to have to deal with this. They're going to have to respond to this. I would imagine that Russia has prepared for something like this. I would hope that Russia has prepared for something like this. But there are Russian officials, specifically in the Duma, who have said that the use of depleted uranium in this conflict in Ukraine will be seen as using a dirty bomb. So we need to keep that in mind. And how about the projection from the collective West? Because over the last year, it was the UK and the collective West that has been telling us that Russia is going to use depleted uranium, and Russia's going to use a dirty bomb, and Russia's going to use a nuclear weapon. And look what we have here. We have the UK admitting to supplying depleted uranium. And they say they're going to supply depleted uranium, but when they say they're going to supply depleted uranium, that usually means that they're already supplying depleted uranium, or they're well on their way to supplying depleted uranium. So all of the nonsense, all of the projection and the hysteria around Russia using uranium or dirty bombs or nuclear weapons, and it's the collective West that is doing it. And that's the big fear here with this depleted uranium decision, is that the UK is deliberately trying to push this closer and closer to some sort of nuclear conflict. This is a big escalation. This is a big escalation, and it is moving us closer to a point where we say, you know what, where the collective West says, you know what, we're losing really badly, and we've tried HIMARS, we've tried Javelins, we've tried Leopard tanks and MiGs and F-16s and depleted uranium, and what is there left for the collective West to do? Well, how about a nuclear weapon? That's where the UK is pushing this towards. And this is a very, very dumb, reckless, dangerous move. And where are the climate activists in all of this? Where's the Greta Thunbergs? Where are the people gluing themselves to Van Gogh paintings in London galleries now that the UK is going to be destroying and poisoning the land of East Ukraine? I'm very curious to see if we're going to have protests in London, climate change, green activist protests in London over this decision. I'm very curious to see if that's what happens, but somehow I doubt it. I don't think we're going to see the green activists and the Greenpeace and the climate change activists and the Greta Thunbergs getting onto the streets and protesting this escalation from the UK government and the effects that it will have on the environment and the climate and the soil and the agriculture and the cancer that it will cause in the people and all of these terrible things. So that is the big escalation from the UK. And how about this statement from NATO Chief Stoltenberg? This is what Stoltenberg said just a couple of hours ago, speaking about the summit that is taking place between China and Russia. Stoltenberg said, China should not supply weapons to Russia. This will support unjustified aggression and will only prolong the conflict. This is coming from NATO. China should not supply weapons to Russia. This will prolong the conflict. These guys, do they listen to themselves? Do they understand what they're saying? Sometimes I wonder. I wonder if they're just if they're such complete puppets that all they know how to do is read a script and they don't understand any of the nuances or the details or the context of the lines that they read. Stoltenberg actually said that China should not supply weapons to Russia because it's going to prolong the war. NATO? NATO? How many weapons has NATO provided to Ukraine for the sole purpose of prolonging the war? How many billions and billions worth of weapons has NATO provided to Ukraine so that they can prolong the war? Not so that not so that they can get to some sort of peace in Ukraine, even though that's what they say, but so that they can prolong the war to deliver some sort of defeat to Russia and some sort of regime change to the Putin government. That's the purpose of providing weapons to Ukraine. To buy time and to inflict some sort of damage to the Russian military, to the Russian government, so that they can eventually get to a regime change in Moscow. An incredible statement from the NATO Secretary General
in Beijing or by the Chinese authorities. And therefore our message has been that China should not provide lethal aid to Russia. That will be to support an illegal war and only prolong the war and support the legal invasion of Ukraine by Russia. That's something that China, of course, not should do. Then, of course, the meeting that takes place in Moscow is part of a pattern we have seen over the last years, where China and Russia are coming closer and closer.
And we now have some breaking news from Putin, where he has just said that we will react to Britain sending depleted uranium ammo to Ukraine. That is the statement that just came in from Russian President Vladimir Putin. And here's a statement from Sergei Lavrov, which came in 45 minutes ago from when I'm recording this video. Britain's plans to supply Kiev with depleted uranium shells show that London is prepared to take not just risks, but also war crimes. There is no doubt that this will end badly for London. That is what Sergei Lavrov said in a statement. All this stuff I'm just seeing right now coming in on Twitter, to be honest, as I'm recording this video. Oh boy. Oh boy. I'm going to end this video there. DURAN.locals.com. We're on Rumble and Rockfin, ODYSEE, BitChute, and Telegram. Take care.